To work along with this lesson, hit Command-Shift-N for a new blank project. Generators, like filters and transitions, live in the Effects tab, but they don't connect to any of the clips captured on your hard drive. They generate new frames for special purposes. They can be keyframed, and filters or transitions can be applied to them like any other clip. And they can be saved as favorites. Especially handy if you formatted a lower third to your liking and want to maintain the style throughout a show with many interviews. Like captured clips, you can load generator clips by double-clicking them in the Effects tab or the Favorites bin. But the most convenient way is to use the generator pop-up at the lower right of the viewer. Let's start with something easy. When you submit a spot to a station, cable, or satellite provider, they have very specific requirements as to the amount of slug, bars and tone, and slate to include at the beginning of an uploaded spot. Let's go through the process of prepping the header of a commercial for upload to a service like DG Fast Channel. They require 10 seconds of bars and tone, 7 seconds of slate, and 2 seconds of black before the spot begins. In the generator pop-up, go to Bars and Tone. Generator clips always adopt the resolution of the sequence they're dropped into, except for bars and tone. You have to select the right one. In our case, NTSC is ideal for standard definition broadcast in the US. The generator clip opens in the viewer. Hit Shift-I to go to the in point. Type +10 period and hit return. We don't even need to set an out point. The default duration is 10 seconds. All we need to do is hit F9 to drop it in. Now we need a 7-second slate identifying the spot. Let's think ahead. If I build a text file and drop it in, it's going to be white text against a black background, Final Cut Pro's default. That would do in a pinch, but I prefer black type on a white background. Now, as we've seen, text clips are basically floating alpha channels. So if we want a white background, we need to create one. In the generator pop-up, go to Matte, Color. The clip loads in the viewer, and we have a new tab, Controls. With this simple generator, the only thing you can control is the color. But as we'll see, the Controls tab is very similar in form and function to the Motion tab and the Filters tab, complete with a timeline and graph area for keyframeable parameters. For this generator, we can set color with hue, saturation, and brightness, with a color eyedropper to sample a color already present in your sequence, or the good old-fashioned box of crayons. Before you click white, something to think about. This is a slate, so it will never be on the air. But when using white solids for broadcast, it's good to get in the habit of selecting mercury instead of snow. Pure white is, in broadcast terms, super white and not legal for transmission, a topic we'll cover in a later chapter. Once you've set your color, click back to the Video tab. Hit Shift-I for the in point, type +7 period, and hit Return. Hit O for an out point, and F9 to insert. Now we're ready for our text. In the generator pop-up, under Text, select Text. It opens in the viewer. Click on the Controls tab. As text editors go, this is very basic, so I'm anticipating a problem. I have 5 clearly labeled bits of information. I want the label to the left and the content to the right. 2 columns. To speed up the formatting, I'm going to create 2 text clips. In this one, type the following in capitals with a colon and a line break after each item. Name, client, TRT, date, ISCI, and change the font color to black. We need to see it to refine it properly, so click back to the Video tab. Mark out 7 seconds and drag it on top of the white background. Now remember, when in doubt, look at the scrubber bar. It's pure white, which means if we make any further changes on that version, they won't be reflected in the timeline. Double-click the one in the timeline. Now we see the sprocket holes, and we can proceed. Change the font to Helvetica. From plain to bold, change the alignment to right, the tracking or horizontal letter spacing to 2, and the leading or line spacing to 31. Now click on the crosshair button for origin. A red crosshair appears at the end of the first line of our right-aligned text. Grab it and position the text like so. Now, in the timeline, Option drag the text clip to make a copy on the next track, and make sure to let go of the Option key before releasing the mouse. Double-click the top layer and change the alignment to left. Now add about 40 pixels to the value of the origin parameter. Change it from bold to plain, and enter your information in the text field. ISCI stands for Industry Standard Commercial Identifier, 4 letters to identify the client, and 4 numbers to uniquely identify the spot. Now select Slug from the pop-up. Mark 2 seconds. Drag it in, and you're ready to add your spot and upload it. Before moving on to the next lesson, take a look at the other generators, especially the ones in the render category, and experiment with them as backgrounds for the text clips you create.